Welcome to Pro-Am Academy. In this video, I will be providing y'all with the ultimate beginner's guide and some tips and tricks to either get your foot in the door of Comp Pro-Am or help your current situation improve. I'll be talking about leagues, builds for every position, and tactics for both offense and defense to help not only your individual play, but also the play of your team. If this video helps you out at all, please consider dropping a like, as getting the footage, writing the info, and editing took me quite a long time. And if you rock with me or the channel, please consider dropping a sub. We just hit 2K subs and are already well onto 3K, so let's try to make that happen. Now, as y'all know, I love to say best, enough talking. Let's get straight into the video, bro. This is gonna be a good one. A lot of the time you see your favorite YouTuber or videos in your recommended of people playing Pro-Am, they are playing in some sort of organized Pro-Am league. And while this may sound daunting, it really is not that hard of a concept to grasp. In the grand scheme of things, there will be two main types of leagues you will run into: draft and bring your own team, or BYOT for short. In a draft league, you enter on your own, play in combine games, and hopefully get drafted to a team in the league. The best draft league to play in my opinion, is SEBA, because it gives a chance for players of all levels to succeed. They have high school, college, and pro levels so that people have the opportunity to hoop and improve. And if y'all are interested in joining, the link to their Discord server will be in the description. In a BYOT league, you enter with your own pre-made team and get right to work. Some of these leagues have free entry, and some have an entry fee which you have to pay, and that depends mainly on which league you are joining. Another thing that heavily depends on which league you join is the level of comp that you run into. Leagues like HOF or WR, for example, are some of the toughest leagues to play in, as even pro players compete in these events before the 2K League draft. However, they give out some of the largest prize pools and notoriety for winning their leagues. Luckily for all my new Pro-Am players, there are several leagues that you can enter where you most likely won't have to deal with any pros. The best place to find these leagues are probably on Facebook. I don't have any of these leagues on the top of my head, but usually any Facebook league that has a bunch of random letters as an abbreviation are fair game. However, please keep in mind that no matter what league you're in, we'll always have some solid teams in there. And please remember that Pro-Am teams don't become amazing overnight. The time and work you are willing to put in will determine your personal or team success. Now that I gave you all the brief about leagues, let's go ahead and hop into the build section. We have now entered probably the most coveted section of this video, and that is the builds. Quick disclaimer, I will be providing other people's builds for some of these positions, as I do not play every position on the court, and I want to make sure that I provide y'all with the best builds possible. And please remember that these builds that I'm providing are general frameworks, and I highly recommend tuning things here and there to best fit your personal playstyle. I'm going to be showing y'all two different point guard builds, one being 6'4" and the other being 6'6". The reason why I'm giving y'all two different builds is because the shorter PGs work better generally for pick and roll offenses, whereas the 6'6" point guards work really well in the 5-out offenses. So, based on the offense y'all plan to run, please pick and choose your build accordingly. This 6'4" PG is the build that y'all see me using in all of these clips, and my main build that I use in Comp Pro-Am. For all related badgery to this build, it is located on the top right of the screen. And as you can see, we went 175 for the weight and 6'6" for the wingspan. The short wingspan is necessary so I could get a 97 3 ball, which gives me Hall of Fame blinders. However, a lot of PGs like to go with a 97 or 98 midi instead, since it's cheaper than a 3 ball, and decide to rock a lower 3 ball attribute with the Hall of Fame shooting badges. I went with the 97 3 ball because I'm more of a 3-point shot hunter, and if I get inside the 3-point line, I prefer to throw up floaters with my Hall of Fame flow game badge, which is the reason why I went 88 driving layup. 80 driving layup gives you the Trae Young layup package, which is the best layup package in the game for little guards, but I also wanted the Hoff finishing badges. In terms of playmaking, the 95 ball handle and 90 speed with ball is almost non-negotiable, as those are the minimum attributes you need to unlock Kyrie Irving dribble style and Steve Francis signature size up, which are the best dribble animations in the game for little guards. I went gold speed booster on this build. However, if y'all feel the need to try to go for Hall of Fame, then sacrifice for it by all means. Defensively, y'all are lacking a little bit, but that's because this is 2K24 and you can't have everything. However, I love the fact that I gave myself a 55 interior defense, because a lot of the time you will be guarding corner with this build, and while it's not super reliable, from time to time you will get stops under the rim if you decide to play your corner cuts. I got this 6'6 PG from the one and only Joe Knows, and I will leave a full video link in the description of his video so y'all can go check it out and get an even more in-depth attribute breakdown on this build. But as y'all can see, 6'6", 94 driving dunk, 92 3 ball, and a 92 ball handle with a very solid interior defense so you can defend those corner cuts more reliably. Gold posterizer and gold precision dunker make ISOing and getting to the rim an easy task, and not to mention you could green from almost anywhere with a 92 3 ball. This build is cracked, you get almost every dunk animation in the game, and you unlock all the playmaking moves you would need to ISO on a 6'6" build. I could sit here and try to lab up something quote-unquote better, but I honestly don't think I can. This shooting guard build that I'm about to show y'all is basically what a typical shooting guard or secondary ball handler build would look like. A 90 driving dunk is really nice on this build, so you could rim run and also throw down dunks when the PG calls you on hash cuts. A 94 3-point shot will allow you to spot up deep hash and green limitless threes confidently, but if you want to go lower on the 3 ball, by all means you can drop it to a 92 and upgrade other categories such as ball handle. You get an 87 ball handle, which will allow you to get good playmaking animations you would need to handle a ball if it comes down to it. However, if y'all feel that that is too low, you could go 92 by dropping the 3 ball. And to top everything off, you get a good perimeter defense and steal, as this build is capable of playing on the top of a zone defense. Silver clamps, gold interceptor, and silver glove will help you get stops on the defensive end. This build is extremely well-rounded and can do bits of everything when used correctly. The small forward on the court is most likely going to be your main or on-ball lock, and here is the framework of a Pro-Am lock on the screen. There are many variations to this kind of build, as you can go many different ways with a lockdown. You can go pure lock with insane defense, you can make more of a two-way lock, or you can make a high shooting lock to be able to hit from the hash. So, based on the role that you want to play, please adjust the build accordingly. This is a variation from a lock from Laker Fan, and I will post his video in the description. For the defense, which is the most important part, y'all are going to get a 94 perimeter D for gold clamps and a 95 steal for gold glove, gold right stick ripper, and Hall of Fame interceptor. Gold clamps on this build is pretty much necessary for an on-ball lock on the 5s, and anything lower simply won't cut it in my eyes. You're gonna get an 82 interior D and a 78 block, which will give you bronze anchor, silver post move lockdown, and silver chase down artist, and an 85 D board will give you silver rebound chaser, which will make you a threat on the glass and relieve some stress off of your big. In the shooting, we got a 93 midi, so you could get gold / Hall of Fame tier shooting badges and unlock the high rating jump shots. An 85 3 ball will enable you to spot up from either corner or hash, and the 50 driving dunk along with the 81 standing dunk will make you a solid option for cuts to the basket for those easy points inside. Like I said before, there's a million different ways you could go with a lock. You could give it longer wingspan and try to go for a 99 steal. You can make him an even better shooter. The combinations are endless, and I highly recommend you adjust based on how you want to play. The power forward, aka back end build, is inspired by the one and only Swag X Godly, and his channel will be linked in the description. As I said in the previous section, I could sit here and try to lab up something better on my own, but I simply don't think it gets any better than this. Here is the framework for an elite back end build, and I will be giving y'all some areas that y'all could change up based on your playstyle. We have decent finishing, including a 65 driving dunk, which is solid for cuts or rim running from the corner. You will get an 84 midi for silver and gold shooting badges, and this also allows you to unlock higher rating jump shots. A 78 3 ball is good enough to green from anywhere on the court as long as you're not crazy deep. The 86 pass accuracy gives you Gold Break Starter, which lets you throw deep passes as soon as you grab the boards, and the 40 speed with ball lets you unlock normal dribble style on a power forward, which gives you those glitchy crossover combos to get to your shot. We have Silver Anchor and Gold Chase Down with the 74 interior and 87 block. The 87 perimeter defense gives you Silver Clamps and Gold Challenger, and y'all already know the deal with the 95 steal. The high rebounding will give you Gold Rebound Chaser, which will ensure you're able to be a horse on the glass, and 90 strength gives you Gold Immovable Enforcer, and y'all already know how I feel about that badge. This build is absolutely cracked, and there are many ways you could change it to make it your own. You can go higher on the finishing, you can go 99 D-board for Hall of Fame Rebound Chaser, or you can add post control so that you could be a post threat as well. The combinations you can make with these builds are endless. This center build is the final build that I will be showing y'all, and for those of y'all that can recognize this build, this is the build that I'm in Corner uses, the starting center for Black Market. I personally love this build and consider it to be the best of both worlds. It can pop out to the 3 and can finish on the inside with a high standing dunk. This big is very versatile as it can play in both the 5 out and the PNR. You get a 90 standing dunk, which allows you to get elite big man contacts and get free points if you catch the ball in the dead zone. An 82 midi and 75 3 ball makes you a reliable shooting option from outside. You can also try to go 86 midi here, as when you hit starter 3, you get the Chris Bosh jump shot base, which I have heard very good things about. The 92 pass accuracy gives you Hall of Fame break starter, so you can chuck passes down the length of the court after rebounds. You get a 99 O board on this build, which will make you a horse on the offensive glass and give you Hall of Fame rebound chaser. And just for some clarity here, notice how the back end I showed had the possibility to get a 99 defensive rebound. It is very common for the back end and center to coordinate attributes. In this case, having one with a 99 D board and one with a 99 O board, so you get the best of both worlds. And I know the interior is lacking a little bit here, but y'all gotta understand this is more of an outside big, and the back end is the position on the court that mainly plays the middle on defense. If you wanted to go pure inside on this big and be able to play middle, you can eliminate all of the shooting and increase your driving dunk and defensive attributes. Increasing speed with ball here slightly would also help, as sometimes on the pick and roll, you get dotted a little bit early on the slip, and you physically have to run the ball to the rim on your own. Now that I gave y'all a bunch of builds to pick and choose from for every position, let's head into the next section, which is offensive tactics. This offensive tactics section will give y'all some simple tips, tricks, and plays to take your offense from a rec offense to a legit Pro-Am offense. And please keep in mind that this is not an advanced video, so I don't want to see any comments talking about, "Oh, I already knew that this video sucks." I'm not hearing it, okay? But now that we got that part out of the way, let's get straight into these tips, man. Firstly, let's discuss the basics of pick and roll and 5 out and the key differences between the two. And for any footage I show of the 5 out clips, I will be using clips from Swag X Godly's stream with his permission. I'm not hearing that either. I asked him, as none of the Pro-Am teams I run with use a 5 out offense. The pick and roll is usually set up with 2 players in the opposite corners, usually being the lock and back end, the PG and the center on one hash or the middle running the pick and roll, and the shooting guard or SBH sitting opposite hash. A quick pro tip that I like to take advantage of are the lethal zones. As you can see in these clips, I mainly like to work on the left hash, so I put my lethal zones on the left hash and top of the key, and I have my SBH put their lethal zones on right hash and top of the key. It is important to think about little things like this for all positions, as playing competitively requires you to have every advantage possible. Now, let's get into tips, things to look for, and plays. The basic pick and roll is simple. Set the screen and have the big roll to the basket. However, it can get much more complicated than that. A lot of solid or good teams will be able to shut down a really basic pick and roll offense, so you need to expand upon it to score the ball. And this is very easy to do. First, let's talk about corner cuts. A lot of the time, the build with the worst defense on the court is guarding weak side corner. This is usually the PG. So if you have a lock or a back end with a good driving or standing dunk rating, this can be easy to abuse if your offense needs a jump start or if you are in the need for quick and easy points. Hash cuts are also effective as well. I said earlier in the build section that I like SBH builds with a high driving dunk so you could send them on a hash cut, catch the defense lacking, and get a free 2 points. The hash cut is also lethal because you can get a 3 out of it as well. If the corner defender drops to defend the hash cut, the PG can directly dot the corner for a wide open 3. Next, let's talk about wraps. Wraps are really effective in both PNR and 5-out because a lot of the time, the defense will lose sight of the wrap man if they don't have top tier communication. Simply either call a low or a high wrap and switch hash sides with your SBH. A low wrap means that the player will wrap under you, and a high wrap means that the player wraps over you. Incorporating an off-ball screen to the wrap side is also a really easy trick you can do, which helps the wrap player get open for a free catch and shoot 3. Another really simple play that you can run to confuse the defense and get a bucket is called a Fifi, and here's how the play breaks down. Call the Fifi on whichever side the SBH is on, and the corner cuts to the rim while the hash replaces corner. The key to running a successful Fifi is all in the timing. Your best bet to run a successful Fifi is to have both players motion at the same time. That way, the defense has to either play picture perfect defense to stop it, or they have to pick their poison. Either they have to overplay the cut and leave the corner 3 open, or the corner cut to the basket is open for a free dunk. Finally, let's talk about the actual pick and roll. A lot of the times, especially if the PG has a really high 3 ball, the other team's backend or center will play really high to compensate for the PNR and not getting 3s off. This allows you to take free 2s if you play it right. A lot of times, bigs can quick slip to the basket and have multiple steps ahead of the defense to the rim. If one of the corners help on the big's drive, either the big can kick out to the open corner 3, or the PG themselves can dot the corner straight up. Other times, the big can hold the screen and the PG can get to the basket for an easy 2. And if the big is not stepping up in the PNR, fry the absolute shit out of that lock. Have the big keep holding screens and keep getting your open 3s off. If the other hash overcompensates, you can dot your SBH for a wide open shot. I know this was a lot of information really quickly, but I hope y'all enjoy this pick and roll crash course. And now it's time to get into the 5-out. When it comes to the formation of the 5-out offense, well, the name is pretty self-explanatory. Corners will be occupied most likely by back end and big, lock and SBH will occupy both hashes, and the PG will work the middle, thus creating 5 players out of the 3-point line. A lot of the stuff that I explained in the PNR section also applies to this section as well, minus the actual pick and roll. To be honest, the 5-out is incredibly similar to the PNR in terms of plays and ways to score. Every single play and little trick that I mentioned earlier also applies and works just as well in the 5-out. The main difference is the PG play. As y'all could see, a 5-out PG ISOs much more and has a very large load when it comes to scoring the ball consistently, which is why I provided y'all with 2 separate PG builds in the build section for this exact reason. And yes, while the 6'4 PG that I use is quite an awesome build, it can't exactly do things like this.
Stunned him, Jeff.
Hey, on his head top. En su cabeza.
A very common way to score in the 5-out is taking advantage of help defenders and kicking out for open 3s. It is really important for the PG to have great court vision in these scenarios, as most of the time they are ISOing and taking advantage of bad defensive rotations. One last quick thing that I would like to add regards the press. A lot of the times, teams will play a full court press defense and try to rattle the point guard into making a mistake. And this is a very easy trap to fall for if you keep your head down and start panic dribbling. To break a press, just have either the big stop at half court or have your SBH stay down with you. Draw in the defender and get rid of the ball. Resume your regular offense when everyone has crossed half court and is ready in their spots. It's as simple as that. In situations like this, you gotta remember that less is more and more is less. Keep things simple, break the press, and continue about your possession. Now that we got offense out of the way, let's head into the final section of this video, which is the defense. We have finally made it to the last section of Pro Am Academy, and that is the defensive tactics section. Here, I'll be giving y'all basic knowledge and tutorials of the 2-3 and 3-2 zones, setting them up, triangle defense, and more. Unfortunately, I will not be covering press in this video. Why, you may ask? Because I am personally not a fan of the press, and none of my teams run it. While this may be a hot take, I think the press has way more cons to pros, and if you're going up against a team with literally half of a brain cell, they will easily break it, and then y'all's defense has to play catch up. However, there are plenty of great press tutorials out there, so feel free to take a look at those if y'all are interested. But now that I got my press rant out of the way, let's get right into it. While this may be basic information to some, let's get into the basic setups of the 2-3 and 3-2 zones. In the 2-3, you will have your two best defenders up top, hide your point guard in the weak side corner, have the center play opposite corner, and the back end plays the middle. I know here it might seem a little weird that the center is not down low in the middle, but let me explain. The whole purpose of a back end is to be a smaller, more fast version of a center that can play the pick and roll easier. 7-foot centers are quite slow, and they are a lot easier to run around versus a 6'8" build, for example. For the 3-2, you'll put 3 defenders, most likely the lock, PG, and SBH up top, and have the 4 and the 5 play in the corners for rebounding purposes. When do you want to use each zone? Generally, you want to run a 2-3 against pick and roll and a 3-2 against 5 out. Just know that 3-2 provides better perimeter defense since there's 3 defenders stacked up top, but slightly weaker inside defense, whereas the 2-3 is the other way around. Finally, let's discuss rebounding, as you simply cannot forget about it. A stop is not a stop until your team secures a rebound, and the amount of times I've seen teams killed by second and third opportunities is far too high. As the back end, since you're playing the middle, you will mostly be the first person under the rim to go for a rebound. So your job is to get in there and box out. You might not be getting the rebound, but you just need to get down there and box the fuck out. What is the center's job? His job is to drop to the paint when a shot goes up and help you secure the rebound. But it all starts from the back end and being able to put a body on the other team's big and get them out of the way. For the third time, box out. You can have all the rebounding attributes in the world, but if you're not boxing out, you simply will not get rebounds. Now, let's get into the basics of triangle defense. While this may sound daunting, it's actually really easy to play and helps y'all's defense out so much. Realistically, there's only 2 basic variations of this, normal and reverse. The only thing that will dictate which one you run is the direction that the offense is going. In this clip right here, this would be a reverse triangle since the PNR is working on the right side and the guard is moving to the left. So, as this plays out, you will see that after the defender up top gets hit with the screen, the back end or the middle player switches onto the guard rotates to the corner, and the big drops to the paint to defend the big slipping to the rim. And as y'all can see by these arrows, the rotations literally form a triangle shape, hence the term triangle defense. And that's all it is. Now let's say the guard went the other way. In this case, the back end will hedge onto the guard and run to the corner will drop to defend the big slip, and the lock that got hit by the screen will go back to the guard. And there's your triangle. Like the pick and roll, it seems so simple, yet it is so effective. But keep practicing this defense, as it takes some good practice, repetitions, and chemistry to really get it down pat. Lastly, let's talk about this similar concept, but for the 3-2 defense. First things first, get the team on the same page. Be sure to call who is going to drop for that specific possession beforehand so that they know when to go. When the cut is sent, that player will drop to defend the cut, and the same side hash defender will drop to the corner to replace the drop man. In this clip, we ran this perfectly, and we did not give up the 3 nor the inside basket. However, the key to running this successfully is all about communication and timing. A way teams try to beat this defense is by calling the cut and then immediately dotting the corner before the defenders can rotate. Make the correct calls and do everything together as one team to limit these kinds of mistakes. We have now finally concluded Pro Am Academy, and all I could say is I hope this video at least helped some of y'all out. I tried to get as much information into one video without getting too complicated, and I feel that I got most of, if not all of the basics into one video. If y'all made it through the entire video, go ahead and drop whole video gang in the comment section below to let me know who rocked with the entire video. And if y'all enjoyed this video or it helps y'all out in any way, please consider dropping a like, as this video literally took me weeks to make with my limited time. I got all my other social links in the description if y'all want to check them out. And with all of that being said, I hope everyone has a lovely rest of their day, man.